It all comes down to this. It all comes down to this at this moment. Kash Patel has been confirmed not only as FBI director, but as something else in the administration. This will blow your mind, and this is a phenomenal move by this administration. Also, we're going to discuss, why is Fort Knox so important? There's two line of thought here. One is to try to make you worry that the gold's not there, but also the other one is, what are they wanting to do with the gold? Why are they wanting to audit it? We're going to discuss that today. Also, we're going to talk about China. It does kind of make you fear, because we get so much from this part of the world. At the same time, we're trying to make sure that our trade negotiations are the same. There's this new form of surveillance that just surpassed us, and it is kind of scary. We'll discuss that. Also, when we talk about the flu epidemic or the outbreak when it comes to our eggs, and our Americans' pricing of eggs is going up, is it just all a scam? Because in Mexico and Canada, their eggs are not going up. Is it because Biden administration killed hundreds of millions of birds? That might have something to do with it. We're also going to talk about, again, wasted funds. Another eye-opener when it comes to what they're doing with your taxpayer dollars. And lastly, we're going to talk about President Trump's emergency declaration. A declaration that he made on the first day. Well, today we're going to talk about uranium and how he has pushed for nuclear energy and a cleaner energy that is going to put us on top in sustainability. Well, today we're going to talk about a company that deals with just that. And also, one of the biggest providers in the world is sitting right here on our hemisphere. Let's dive into these stories and so many more. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. That means the world to us, because what it does is spreads our message across this platform. When we speak truth, sometimes they don't like it and they don't spread it as much. So when you comment and you give us a thumbs up, you're saying you need to, because this is a good message. Our goal is to talk about things that matter, things that impact you and influence you and your families as we try to navigate this crazy world that we live in. Now, check out my other channel, Life with Colby Mack. We put another video out yesterday showing exactly what we do when we talk about sustainability. One thing we did not show, I want to show you this, talking about the egg prices and the outbreak. You know, we're seeing that more now because America has chosen to be proactive in massacring all these farms with chickens, and that is going to cause the egg prices to go up. Now, Trump administration didn't do that. We're feeling the problems of what the Biden administration did. Mexico and Canada are not feeling that. Mexican eggs are actually as cheap as they've ever been, like they should be in America. But because our government worked against you as Americans, that's the problem. Now, I want to show you what we're doing about it. Look, I'm going to turn you around, and this is the prepper's pantry. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 egg incubators going. Has about roughly 80 to 90 new egg incubations for new chicks coming out. We have a big farm and we have a lot of chickens, of course, and we're getting a lot of eggs, but we're always wanting to add more to our flock, and so therefore this is how we deal with the egg epidemic here in America. This is how most people should be dealing with the egg problem in America, is trying to take more sustainable practices for themselves. So again, that's what we're doing here on our farms. So let's go to that story. It says the United States is currently facing an egg shortage because of the outbreak of bird flu. That is wrong. That is what this story is telling you. But what we don't want to forget is that the millions of birds that the Biden administration killed. And here's the thing. They did not kill every bird that had the bird flu. They killed, if there was a contamination in this farm and this 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 birds had it out of the 50, 60, 70,000 birds that were there, instead of checking all the birds, they just massacred them all. Now, is that being proactive and making sure it doesn't spread, or is that just causing problems for the American people? Remember, eggs are some of the cheapest protein and fat sources that most Americans can get for literally economics, and also very healthy for you. What happened in America is the leading of the culling of millions of chickens to prevent the spread. However, we did not know if it would be spreading as rapidly as they thought. The action resulted in a significant increase in egg prices, with some regions feeling a 20 to 30% increase. It says, looks like the bird flu never happened in Mexico compared to America because Mexico has tons of eggs. Well, it's because their government did not work against their people. So next time we hear this kind of stuff, instead of seeing our government just say, okay, we're going to take the initiative to do something, it's sad that the fact is that when our government takes initiative to do something, most of the time it's failing, and the things when they don't take initiative and audit their files, we realize how much waste that we actually have. So again, this proves my point. When we have less government interaction in our lives, it probably is for the best. Again, I bring this story up all the time. A lot of these chickens that were culled, the local veterinarians and the local people wanted to test the chickens, and the government would not allow them. They just told them, we're going to slaughter them all. So actually what they were doing was working against you and the fact of you having chickens. What do we talk about? When you kill the source, that means it's going to take a long time to get that supply back up. So the demand is going to go up, which is going to make the prices go up. Simple economics. But again, we had a bad leader in administration, and now it's causing the problems in this administration. Now, this is not Trump's fault. He'll get blamed for it. I mean, the Democrats are already blaming for it. But how we forget, how easily we forget when these crazy flipping politicians speak, eggs can't be produced by next week from a chick that's in these incubators. These incubators are going to produce the chick. The chick has got to grow for 6 to 8 months. Then hopefully they'll start egg laying to then have eggs again. So that situation of millions and millions of killing of animals that they've done this last year, well, we're going to feel it for the next 2 years. So unless you find a farmer, unless you start taking some sustainable approaches to eggs, you're going to feel this for the next few months, maybe even a year. So this is why we have to pay attention to the story, because what they're telling you, this is all Trump's fault and tariffs and the bird flu. It's not at all. It's actually the fault of the last administration trying to be quote-unquote proactive, and actually what they were doing was being reactive and causing you, the consumer, the problem. Let's jump into a good story I thought that's very positive before we get to some of the negatives. Kash Patel became the head of the FBI. Now, here's the kicker. What else did he become the head of? He became the head of the ATF too. Listen to this. It says, Kash Patel, recently confirmed as the FBI director in a closed Senate vote, is now poised to assume the role as acting director of the ATF. The dual leadership role has sparked major discussions, of course it has, and the implications for federal law enforcement oversight and efficiency. The move comes amidst Trump saying he wants policy changes and wants to make things work better. Again, why do we want to keep spending frivolous money on all these cabinet positions and all these different bureaucrats to know that one person can do both roles? Listen to this. Do you remember just a few weeks ago when they kind of released the fact that the ATF director at that time couldn't tell the difference in certain shelling of brass casings? Now, he is supposed to be the leader of the people that's over munitions, and he couldn't even tell you the difference in some of the rounds. So it shows bad leadership. So I'm glad that we're actually, of course, getting the bad people that don't know what they're doing out, the bureaucrats, but also putting someone who is a firebrand, who is ready for the task. Listen to what he's already done. Kash Patel became an FBI director just a few days ago, and listen to what's already taken place. Kash is already making huge changes in the FBI. After being sworn in, he did not play games. He wasted no time, and he ordered transfer of 1,500 agents and staff out of the bureaus, Washington, D.C. Remember, he said he wanted people out of the headquarters and actually doing their job in the field to go across the country. Roughly 1,000 will be sent to high-crime cities. So what makes me so flippin' upset is all these liberal states and all these liberal cities are complaining to the Trump administration. And Trump and Patel are the only ones who are willing to send more help to the cities to get them under control, to help the crime, trafficking, and drug problems. And literally, no other administration has done that. And he's willing to send the people that are sitting in Washington doing nothing in an office, he's sending them out to the field offices to actually work into the cities. It's unbelievable that they're not getting kudos for this. It says where they can focus on fighting crime instead of political gains. It says another 500 will be reassigned to Huntsville, Alabama, which is widely seen as DC's version of exile. What this is showing is he's getting them out of the politics so they can actually do their flipping job, or either quit because they don't want to do it. They're either going to do the job that they were chose to do as FBI policing for our United States government and the safety of Americans, or they're going to get out. So it shows he's already starting to dismantle the bureaucracy of the FBI. It says this is Patel's first move, and if any Democrats want to shed a bunch of tears over this move, but they can't claim it because he's actually sending it to a lot of these liberal cities that need the support. I thought that was good. This is what Patel said in 23. It says, one of my biggest personal recommendations is to send 7,000 agents that is in the headquarters here in Washington to actually start chasing the bad people of the world, the rapists, the traffickers, the problems, the drugs, and help cops. It's time for them to be the cops that they're supposed to be, and they're going to participate in helping making America great. That is unbelievable. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about not only today's sponsor, but the fact of what Trump was talking about with the national emergency. You know, we've seen him do a lot of big things, and this is one of them. It says, on January 20th, 2025, the future of the energy production around the globe experienced major shifts. Why? Because Trump became president. It says he declared a national energy emergency. We talked about having sustainability, and this was one of the reasons. On Inauguration Day, he designed and expedited ways that we can see, again, with the Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Interiors, mining and finding rare earth minerals and expediting the movement of making energy independence, sustainable money, and making sure that America could stand on its own feet using the benefits that we have right under the ground. This is what his declaration says. It says, to ensure that no federal funding may be employed in any manner contrary to the principle outlined in this section, meaning he wants to make sure that the government is not working against building energy independence, and to immediately review all agencies to make sure they are trying to build better quality energy independence for America. One of those is nuclear energy. Now, sometimes nuclear energy gives you a scary thought pattern, but actually what we've seen is if we build these smaller nuclear reactors and start making sure that we put them in designated areas, what we're actually doing is building a cheaper, more economic way of producing energy for America and sustainable energy, even to export some of the other energy options that we have, which is going to make America rich again. There was an article from CNBC. It says, Trump to help spark a nuclear energy renaissance, and investors say this could be a good thing. President Trump's pick for the United States Energy Department, Chris Wright, has said he sees nuclear power as a part of the domestic energy strategy going forward. Here's why it's important. Right above our line, Canada. You know, we're talking tariffs, we're talking negotiations, we have all this going on. One thing that Trump saw, and you hear what he said Canada has so much potential, so much energy, that we would like to work and tap it and let it be part of this Western Hemisphere, this movement of energy independence for all of North America. Which brings me to Saskatchewan, Canada. It resides in the world's most promising uranium jurisdiction in the Athabasca Basin. In Trump's administration, he has focused his energy independence in part of this basin that's sitting in Canada. In 2004, the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission approved the extension for this nuclear generation station B units. Plans are in place to develop 10,000 megawatts of new nuclear energy capacity in this area. The initiative and project is to create 10,500 jobs to contribute to estimated $235 billion to Ontario's GDP over the next 95 years. Now, you say, Colby, why does this matter? This is dealing with Canada, not America. This is part of Trump's negotiations where he's saying, okay, I'm showing that we need nuclear independence. I'm showing that I can help you out, Canada. At the same time, you can help me out. Let's learn how to build a more energy independence by using what's in your ground, just like what we're using in our ground. You have uranium sitting right there. That's all we need to build the nuclear energy to give us independence across the whole North American continent. Canada is on track to become the world's largest uranium supplier, with uranium output expected to rise by 1/3 this year. Experts show that Canada could actually double its efforts by 2035 if they just embrace what's under their ground. Look now at the ones that's trying to run for Canada's leadership. They're all talking about this energy sitting right in their ground. Today's sponsor is Mustang Energy, ticker MECPF, which is focused on Canada's Athabasca Basin. Nuclear energy has experienced a notable resurgence. AI data centers, electrical vehicles are driving up the demand for electricity. Tech giants are increasingly turning to nuclear energy. Companies like Amazon, Alphabet, and Oracle have invested in small modular reactors. Additionally, Meta announced a $10 billion AI data center in Louisiana, which will be powered by nuclear energy. What is interesting about uranium and about energy sources, we talked about this with other mining, is that they're actually down. Most of all mining companies are completely down. For instance, Mustang Energy that we're talking about is down 36% because we had leadership in liberal ideology that would not allow for us to get the things out of the ground that we need. It's kind of like the eggs. We have egg problems because our administration made us have egg problems. Well, the whole point of having energy independence is to start getting the things that God has blessed us with out of the ground. And uranium is one of those when it comes to nuclear energy. Nuclear is the only reliable carbon-free energy source that can meet all demands when it comes to AI data centers that are projected to consume 8 times more energy by 2030. Now let's focus on just Mustang Energy and the numerous projects they have in the basin and plan to drill in the months ahead. Mustang Energy is a pure-play uranium exploration company focused on Athabasca Basin, one of the world's largest, most valuable uranium regions. It has the world's largest and highest grade uranium mines ever. Mustang Energy owns multiple projects strategically located near these uranium giants. They have a phase 1 project, a phase 2 project, and their goal is to make sure that they are growing as much independence in energy as possible. And uranium is that key. In a technological world like we talked about with copper, like we talked about with silver and nickel, all these rare earth minerals, uranium is a big proponent of that because without all these natural mining options and these rare earth minerals, they cannot get the technology to the next level. It's needing energy. It's needing these things that God has blessed us with to drive us to the next level, to get us to where we're wanting to be in our country. How nice would it be to have cheaper energy costs, cheaper utility costs? Tons of projects are going, and listen to this, the uranium market is facing a severe supply shortage with demand vastly outpacing production. It's kind of like the egg, supply and demand. The more supply, less demand. The fact that there's less supply, the more demand, and you're going to see some of these mining companies and some of these energy companies start really growing because what Trump is saying with his energy emergency declaration is, I want to tap every resource that we can, and let's work together, Canada, and let's try to figure out the best way forward for our continent. The more I dig into these kind of things, after Trump's declaration, the more that I understand, okay, if I want to put my money in something and then my money's already in the stock market or my money's already invested, why don't I look at things that it's going to benefit us? Well, this is one of them. All these stocks are down because of the Biden administration. Now that we see a pro-energy, a pro-rare earth minerals, a pro-exploration administration in with the emergency declaration and with some of the biggest names working alongside Trump, I'm excited to say that this is one of the companies that I've been looking at. Check out Mustang Energy. There's a link below to read all about this company. The way I look at all this is I want to put my money in something that is tangible and good. But guess what? We have money that's still in the stock markets because of retirements or things that we've already invested in. Check out Mustang Energy today. Now, a few more stories I want to talk about. I want you to listen to what was said about USAID. Again, there was a judge that just sided with the Trump administration saying you can basically get rid of USAID. Here's another reason of why we should. Haiti scandal is staggering. The U.S. sent $4.4 billion through USAID, 2010 earthquake. Yet, listen to this. Of the $4.4 billion, listen, this is just mind-blowing. They said yet 2%, less than 2% reached Haiti. So $4.4 billion was supposedly sent for Haiti relief. Less than 2% actually got there. Listen to this. While 56% lined the pockets of DC firms. This is why I say you need to audit the Senate, the Congress, and all these lobbyists. 4.4 billion, quote unquote, went to Haiti. No, it didn't. Less than 2% actually went to Haiti. The rest went back to these lobbyists and these people voting for these bills. That's why you have to get rid of things like USAID. No transparency, no accountability. These NGOs run rampant in our government. And until we find ways to get rid of them, which Trump is doing, which is Doge is doing, we should be ashamed of ourselves. And our government shows how corrupt they really are. Now, the thing is even worse is that everybody's pushing against Trump and Elon for trying to make sure our money is spent like it's supposed to. I mean, for instance, here's another story. U.S. Marshals can't account for seized Bitcoin. They can't even find okay, so for instance, when they bust these people that are doing bad things and they seize their assets, one of the things they seize is Bitcoin. Well, again, here's a problem. The U.S. Marshals seize all this Bitcoin because someone's doing illegal acts. They take all their Bitcoin, put them in jail or whatever they're going to do. But now there's no accountability, so we don't even know where the Bitcoin went. And so since Bitcoin's so untraceable that everybody says, the U.S. Marshal Services that are responsible for managing assets seized by criminal investigations cannot even provide an exact account of how many Bitcoin they're supposed to have and how much they seized, which fuels speculation that there's no accountability when it comes to our government, We have money floating back to DC firms. We have the fact that the U.S. Marshal Service can't even find some Bitcoin. This is highway robbery to the American people. And this is where we have to make sure that our leadership, like Kash Patel, like Pam Bondi, that's wanting to expose some of these things, it starts getting exposed. Just like Doge exposing USAID and shutting it down. How now they're trying to get rid of the IRS because literally they said that there's so much waste in the IRS, they don't even know where to start to say, okay, what are we doing? What are they even doing with this money? They're doing the same thing in the Department of Defense. They're doing the same thing in the Department of Energy, Department of Education. All this is just showing how much waste we have. So we have a $2 trillion deficit. If we just start cleaning up just the departments, you would see a major difference. But oh, and behold, again, the Senate spent $340 billion and passed a bill to do overspending just yesterday with the Republicans helping. So it's always going to be a battle with DC because you have the people that are getting fed back the taxpayer dollars. And if honestly, and you're starting to hear Elon say stuff like this, just like the auditing gold at Fort Knox. Elon came out yesterday and he started reposting some of the stuff of that these politicians should be held accountable. What's going to happen if all of a sudden he can, I mean, you see Democrats and even Republicans pushing against Doge now. What all of a sudden happens if these federal employees, which are your Senate and Congressmen, get audited? What would we say if all of a sudden 60 to 70% of them were found guilty of taking back taxpayer dollars? Not only should they pay it back, if they're not going to serve jail time, they should have to resign their seat. And they should lose their monies. They should get seized money because most of them are getting rich off the American people. Now this leads me to this next story with Trump and Musk on the gold. Trump kind of has made hindrance, and people have kind of said, oh, he's just quoting wrong numbers. No. Trump says, I'm just hoping to see some gold there. Now, why is he saying that? Does he expect the gold not to be there and knowing all the time that it's not there so it won't just destroy the markets when they find out the assets are not there? Or is he saying, like, for instance, he was like the other day, he's like, if we just have 25 tons there, well, there's supposed to be like 4,500 tons. So if all of a sudden we realize the gold is there and they audit it and say, oh, wow, it's worth way more than we thought, is that Trump's play and Elon Musk's play to say, well, then why are we not using it to back our dollar? See, there's a catch-22 here. Is Trump playing, 4D chess, saying we know the gold's not there, and when we realize the gold's not there, we don't want to destroy the markets because someone has stolen it, just like they seized the Bitcoin, just like they lost all this money and nobody can audit for it? I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of scared that the gold's not there because it hadn't been audited since the 70s. But if it's all of a sudden there, what he's saying is, why don't we utilize it better? So I'm anxious to see actually what happens with this audit. They say they're going to audit it. If we audit it, it literally is a major pendulum swing. Either we're going to see no gold there and it's going to destroy our markets, or we're going to see a lot of gold there and we might get back our currency to it. This could be a monster play. And again, a movement towards that independence that we just talked about with energy, with money, making sure that we don't need anyone else in this world to provide for American people. We keep our money here and we start learning to quit wasting our money, and our Senate and Congress are part of that problem. Now, last story I want to bring up, and this is where I want to kind of end the video. China unveils the world's most powerful spy camera, capable of identifying faces from space with quantum leap imaging technology. So this is why we have to make sure that when we talk about trade partners, we talk about dependence and having dependence of their medication, having dependence of all their goods. Remember, we get a ton of goods from Asia and the Pacific area, China. Why do we want to depend on them at the same time they're taking advantage of us by maybe spying on us? Not only through the DeepSeek, or not only through TikTok, or not only through Temu or whatever else that you're talking about, Alibaba. It may be the fact that now they have satellites that are capable of looking at our faces from space. Now, we've heard that in dystopian movies. Oh, it's already possible. But what they're saying now is their technology is a quantum leap forward than anyone else in the world. So I think that's why Trump is coming in with tariffs. I think that's why Trump is saying we need energy independence. I think that's why Trump is saying we need to make sure that our manufacturing is strong here, because he sees the writing on the wall that our adversaries are not looking out for us. And if we become more dependent on their medicine, more dependent on their goods, more dependent on their steel, more dependent on their manufacturing, then we are literally allowing them to basically do whatever they want across the world. So the pushback on the Panama Canal, the pushback on Denmark, the pushback on trying to make sure that we get our own rare earth minerals, I think it's all a play because they see how dangerous it could be. This is why we have to have accountability. This is why we have to have Doge. This is why we have to have good leaders, because we need to make sure that not only are we building the best and brightest among us in America. We need to build our manufacturing back and our independence back. For instance, I love what Pete Hegseth just did. He fires tons of the Joint Chiefs, along with the Navy Chief and other top brass. Trump again says this is the right move. So they could put the people in power that's not about trying to play politics, but trying to make America the strength across the world, and to make sure that we're taking care of American issues first and not getting their pockets lined by big donors. This is what I want to see. I want to see leadership and accountability. And now that we're seeing it, your Senate and Congress are pushing against it. That shows they're hiding something. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out not only our sponsor for today, but understand that what Trump is doing is he is wanting to see America thrive. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to go through hard times. Look at the egg issue. Look at the fact of drug prices. All that's going to matter because it's all going to be part of the negotiation. It's not about what you hear on the news. It's about actually what you're seeing get done. $4.4 billion to Haiti and only 2%, less than 2% made it to Haiti. That is dirty fraud. And I think that's what we're getting more of in this administration, is to see truth. And when we see truth, we see how many people are actually working against us in our own government. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this video. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.